You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Loman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Loman.
Hey, welcome everybody to the show, the House of Sunny podcast. I'm here with my sidekick, Doug. Hey, Doug.
Hi.
So today, big week. We got big Iran news, which we will talk about later on. We're going to talk about Ricky Gervais. So that's big cultural news. We'll talk about Harry and Meghan. I know you guys hate that topic. Some of you like it. I used to have a 50-50 guy-girl ratio on my work, but it's been slipping to guy, a heavy guy ratio. And you guys just don't care as much about Harry and Meghan.
Maybe this will bring the girls back to the podcast.
Let's try. But also, I have something to say about it that I think is a wider point. It really has nothing to do with them or the royals. It has more to do with this sort of way that progressives talk. And I want to talk about language because that kind of interests me. And their statement is so corporate. And to me, that's like a massive problem in our culture. So we'll get into that.
So you're trying to rationalize bringing the royals in.
I love the royals.
That was slick.
I freaking love the Queen and the royals. I don't know what it is. I love it so much, and I follow it, and I'm just appalled at this American woman's behavior. Okay, we'll get into that. Let's do Iran first, but because we don't care about Iran, I'm setting a timer, and I should have done this about impeachment because nobody cares about impeachment either. We spent, I really resisted it. And we finally had to talk about impeachment when he was actually freaking impeached because now we've got like a news item, but the whole trial was BS. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about it and now it goes nowhere. Typically, it was another nothing burger that's not going to go anywhere or do anything. And you could tell that from the beginning because there were no facts. So I kind of I don't feel that way about Iran. Obviously stuff happened. But it's just not as big and important as the media wants us. This is like, the hurricane that comes through and they scare everybody into evacuating. And it turns out it's just like a thunderstorm.
Right.
All right. So 5 minutes on the clock.
Can we talk about Stormy Daniels then? I want to go.
Is there Stormy Daniels news?
No, there's 500 different scandals, though, that have come up, that have popped up and disappeared, never to be heard from again, that were...
And 3 years of Russian collusion followed by an immediate impeachment. It's like, this is nothing.
It's crazy.
And yet everybody had to talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Meanwhile, the world
kids are still in cages.
Yeah. The world is going to hell and all this nothing crap. Anyway, okay, let's not get into that. So here's Iran.
Yeah.
Setting 5 minutes on the timer. Boom. All right, 5 minutes, Doug. So they attacked our embassy. They've been doing all kinds of provocative moves for a while, including when Obama was in office, like when they kidnapped our sailors. Remember that?
Yeah, well, they've been provoking us since the 1970s.
Right. But it got really bad under Obama, and then and he did nothing but pay them off, basically.
Yep.
And they used that money to continue to be terrorists and do their thing and basically salvage their regime because their regime was close to collapse, I think, at that time. Based on what I was reading at the time, their economy, the sanctions had really been taking the toll, and there was a lot of unrest in that country. That country is on the verge of revolution because the people are unhappy. So severe economic unrest would just push it right over the edge. So what does Obama do? Gives them a bunch of money. So, all right, so continued with provocations. They attack our embassy, which is an attack on our soil, technically. And Trump, in a very brilliant response, I love this response, just assassinates one of their top generals.
Yeah.
Perfect. The guy was in Iraq. What was he doing in Iraq? He was taking his life into his own hands, driving around, going to the airport with impunity.
Supposedly he was there for a diplomatic meeting, is what I had read, that he was invited to the meeting mediated by the Saudis or something, and then they decided to just shoot him.
Oh. Well, do you remember when Trump met with Kim Jong-un and they said he shouldn't meet with him unless he shoots him? That was the left then. And now they're like, oh my God, they shot the Iranian general.
Right. They did exactly what they told us to do.
Yeah. So he can't win. We all know that. So this is a nothing burger. He had every right to do this. We have every right to kill an Iranian general whenever we can get a chance and we think we can get away with it. We have every right to do that. And after they attacked our embassy, we have every right to do this. And it wasn't, it could have escalated things, but I don't know what you're supposed to do when you get attacked. You can't just ignore it. You just can't. Like, this is how to handle a bully 101. You can't ignore it. You have to do something. He did something, and they responded with a bunch of bluster, and now it's over. This is perfect, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't want war. Do you want war?
No. I mean, I agree with you in the context of us being there and the provocations that occurred and the fact that Iran is a bad actor and a financier of terrorism, and Soleimani is a mastermind of terrorist acts. I think it's completely legitimate. But my bigger picture is, why are we in the Middle East? Like, in the context of, we're there, we're doing stuff. These people are attacking us. You got to fight back. If we're going to, if we're going to,
in Iraq,
if we're going to engage them and we have a definite strategy and a goal, then let's execute it and do it and be done with it. But the fact that we're just kind of there on these Iraqi bases, inhabiting these bases, and they're taking pot shots at us, and then we're taking pot shots at them, and we kill this guy, and then they have a drone strike, do something else, and what's all the point of this? I don't understand why we're even in the Middle East.
Yeah, or you can't pull out of Syria because you leave the Kurds abandoned. It's like, what is this? What is this cesspool?
Yeah,
I wish we could get fully out. And then when Iraq comes in with this state, the government, I don't even know how true this is because I didn't look into it. And the media is not to be trusted. But at least some people in the government, or they issued a resolution or whatever, condemning the Iraqi government, condemning this attack on this guy.
Yeah,
but
the Iraqi parliament did.
We know the Iraqi parliament is in
non-binding resolution.
We know they're in the pocket of Iran. Because we went in there, we fought a war, then we did the winning the hearts and minds thing, which allowed them to do whatever they want, and it let Iran in. So It's just so dumb. It's so dumb, all of it.
We've really empowered Iran by what we did in Iraq, and we're also have led to the creation of ISIS. The destabilizing moves that we took in Syria and
10 seconds.
Libya. Okay, so let's get out of the Middle East. Get the hell out. I wish Trump would have stuck more to his guns on that and gotten us out rather than. But if you're going to attack him, then kill him. Get rid of him.
Right. All right. That's it. 5 minutes. All right. Good job. We're in agreement. Okay. So the other thing that happened was Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes, and we have said on this podcast over and over that, we talk about the culture war. We talk about the situation. I think we've both said the culture is turning. We've both said it's a jocks versus nerds thing. And we now are in this situation where the scolds, the sort of icky people telling you what to do, the uncool people are the left. And it's got to change, because with that, you really do change what's cool and what's not cool, as far as I can tell. I just don't think Greta is cool. And you can't, anyone going along with that, it's almost over is what I'm trying to say. This is just not really sustainable. Unless you're in Mao, China. So I don't know. I guess it could go that way. But we are seeing signs of the dam breaking. We saw Kanye. We saw Chappelle. You see this sort of vibrant intellectual movement that includes people who are on the left and the right, the historic left and right, being a part of that. And they're apart from and separate from this kind of woke diversity worship, oppression Olympics worship, stuff going on in the universities. So a real vibrant intellectual environment happening in a channel that isn't controlled by by the I don't know, the left is what I want to say, but it's the hard left, I guess. So this is all good news. I'd like to see Hollywood change. I thought that the most interesting thing about Ricky Gervais' monologue was the crowd reaction and just how they really didn't like it. You know, I expected them to have a better sense of humor about themselves. I don't know why, but
yeah, that's a weird assumption.
I expected them to at least fake it, but they were like basically booing him or not laughing. You know, and in his opening monologue. And I didn't watch the whole show, but I think it's a good sign that he had not only that he had the balls to do that, and he really has big brass balls to do that, but somebody let him do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did watch the red carpet after the fact, and I watched him come in, and he was talking to Ryan Seacrest, and he was saying in that interview, before he said anything or did anything, he said, it's all in a teleprompter. They've seen the jokes, you know, all the jokes. So the Hollywood Foreign Press knew what they were getting.
Yeah.
And
totally.
They were okay with it. So
that's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting.
That they allowed it.
Yeah.
Someone.
So, or a group of people, or like there's more going on. There's an undercurrent happening here is what I'm trying to say. And that's good news. And I think we're seeing it. And we have to focus on this stuff and not just on the negative. That it's not just Ricky Gervais. He didn't get to do that by himself. You know, and he's a known quantity. He's very vocal on Twitter. So
right. Everybody
knows that he attacks pretension and the wokeness, and you know, like when that all-girl Ghostbusters movie came out and some people were giving them shit for it, Ricky was defending the people who were giving them shit, and you know, so he comes to the defense of people who are just speaking their mind. So he's like an old school liberal. And
he had been there he's hosted this thing many times, and every time he's been there, he's crushed everybody to the point of people like Robert Downey Jr. and others being like pissed in the crowd, you know, in years past, just for him criticizing them or their careers or their movies or whatever. And so they keep inviting him back. And I thought he would never get invited back after the first time he was there. And this was amazing.
It was the worst ever. It was the most insulting ever. And normally I'm not such a nihilist. You know, normally I would be like, hey, it's the Golden Globes. This should be about celebrating the art and the work. But these people really do need to be told and knocked down a peg and told that they're just like us, you know? They're not better than us. Quit lecturing us.
Yeah, you're more beautiful than us.
Only because, honestly, they have
but
staffs.
That's it.
Any one of you out there could be just as beautiful.
No.
Honestly, the plastic surgery, the facials.
No, that makes them look worse.
I don't know, man.
Come on. No, I mean, okay. So in
Brad
years
Pitt is beautiful. Okay, Brad Pitt is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to look like Brad Pitt, but
if you had his staff, you'd look just like him.
All I need is his makeup artist or whatever, and his stylist, and I've got.
Okay, maybe it's not as true with guys, but if you look at somebody like, maybe you don't even think this person's beautiful, but if you look at the Kardashians, for example.
Oh, gross!
You know, they wear a lot of makeup. They have stylists. They have, you know, teams of stylists and plastic surgeons. If you look at Kylie Jenner before and after, you know, she's not just plain. She's kind of on the unattractive side. And now, of course, she can't move her face, but now, you know, she looks good in pictures.
There's just some beautiful people, you know, and that's fine. And here's the thing is, I think at one time Hollywood was a symbol of beauty and glamour and sort of American values to the extent that we glamorized and romanticized, the Hollywood ending and, kind of old Hollywood, what it was. And, that was a very American thing. And I think shitting on that would be a nihilistic act. But modern Hollywood is not that. Modern Hollywood is itself nihilistic and promotes anti-Americanism at an extreme, not just like liberals or Democrats, but absolute anti-Americanism. I mean, these people are completely.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a war movie now, we don't fight our real enemies. We fight like made up enemies that aren't really enemies, or we actually fight good guys. The bad guy is always like the American. I don't know. It's really gross at this point.
Oh, and they've blacklisted anyone in Hollywood that's even slightly right of center. I mean, you can't get a job. They're.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is hyper-feminism. The you know what I mean.
Yeah. This is hard.
Female Ghostbusters as sort of a political statement rather than, hey, this will be a good movie. You must like it and you must watch it because you have to prove that you know what they've done to Star Wars. I mean, they're really bad. They're as bad as the universities at this point.
Right, and they're political activists on a very large level in terms of how they fund candidates and the way in which they're trying to influence elections. And and we all know this. I mean, they're hyper partisan. They're part of the resistance, and they back all the left wing candidates, and they're like Trump deranged and everything else. And so for them, it's no longer for me what Gervais did was not an act of like shitting on the glamourati or something like that. It was an act of justice.
It was an act of justice
because it was finally someone publicly shaming them for being self-righteous, pretentious morons, which is what they really are. And so if you're gonna lecture us and try and be better than us, this is what you're gonna get. And like he said, you guys, most of you have less schooling than Greta. Like, who in the hell are you?
Right. And they have supported this sort of really disgusting and despicable sex perversion. And the Epstein stuff, the pedophilia rings, the just even the Weinstein thing that everybody knew about and didn't say anything about, and now they act all righteous, like they've started this movement.
The casting couch culture.
So just to play a little clip from his monologue, this is the clip where he makes the Jeff Epstein joke, and just listen to the crowd here. That to me is the key point, because the crowd reaction is they boo him. They boo him for saying Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, which I thought was a universally funny meme. I didn't think anybody could boo that because, first of all, how could you ever support Epstein? He's a convicted pedophile. Not just a pedophile, but a pedophile trafficker. Like he's the pedophile madam,
Yeah.
So that's who he is. You can't possibly defend that. And the whole Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself thing is the funniest joke. The fact that it pops up here and there everywhere. You're reading another meme and the last line is Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That's the funny internet meme that Ricky's aware of and that he's making fun of here by slipping in Jeff Epstein didn't kill himself. And then listen to the groans, because the people actually don't think that's funny. They think he did kill himself. They think it's bad that we make fun of that and that we talk about that. So just listen to this.
Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way. So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
They did laugh at that last one, but the camera pans around and you can see the faces of some of the stars not laughing. Laughing. Like they look pissed. And how could you not laugh at that? I know he's your friend. That's so hilarious. He is their friend. That's what that struck me is while he's saying that follow-up punchline. I know he's your friend, which is more of the joke. It's true.
Well,
So
yeah, there's a
that's
level
how
of
depraved-
tribalism there because they're so tribalistic with respect to politics. He's their guy because he was a Democrat and he
Yeah.
was essential. I mean,
and because he
it's
was assassinated by probably the Clintons or somebody somebody connected to the Democrats.
Yeah, well, he's associated with the Clintons. And so to the extent, that he is wrapped up with the Clintons, the jokes about him are speaking to a powerful cabal, of very evil people who had him killed and who were involved in a global sex trafficking blackmail ring, that touched the highest levels of power, including Hollywood. And so for them to react that way is really dark. I mean, I can't even.
So dark and so revealing and proof that they need to be ripped. You know what I'm saying? Like proof that everything Ricky did was justice and deserved, because these people are sick. Like Hollywood is sick. If it's torn down tomorrow and rebuilt, that's good.
Yeah, these are the people that defended Roman Polanski and others. And now there's a lawsuit against Disney, and it's coming out, some of these child stars from Disney that were molested, and like you mentioned, the various pedophile rings that are coming to light. I mean, this is a real thing.
Yeah.
And like the James Gunn, the guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy, these are really evil people. And for them, and so you're getting a sense of like this is what Hollywood really is.
Right.
The casting couch pedophile culture, and for them to boo or to react negatively to someone calling out this Epstein is definitely underscores that.
It's astonishing to me that fake it, at least fake like you're not on Jeff Epstein's side. Maybe you can act, so maybe you should fake that. The fact that they don't
You're a good
fake
actor.
the fact that they don't fake it really reveals how deeply out of touch they are. Like they truly think that it's okay for them to not fake that, And I loved the joke too, where he slammed Apple and Tim Cook was there and they panned to his face and Tim Cook, God, I hate that man. Tim Cook is there and he slams Apple and Disney and then he says to the crowd, this was like one of my favorite slams. He says, if ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agents. They just have no moral center.
Yeah, exactly.
And they are either following or they're evil themselves. And it's just hard to believe, but it's true. These beautiful people doing art and doing this, you want to think of them as good, but they're not. They're almost universally bad. I just don't think you could get ahead there in that environment unless you were bad at this point. It's so bad, Yeah,
and it's sad. I mean, because even the pretense of us glamorizing Hollywood is gone now. I mean, they've politicized themselves out of the picture to the point where people hate them. And, it's a sad statement on our culture. But, I think this generation where social media is giving us, and social media and the internet has given us a deeper picture of who these people are, what they're really like, what their real lives are. So you're not just getting an occasional snippet of someone like you would in the 40s or 50s. We're learning the truth, and you can't really glamorize these people anymore.
Yeah.
And they're disgusting, pretentious morons who are actually personally evil, many of them, diabolical, and they're political leftists that are intent on destroying the country, which is ironic because it's without American capitalism, there would be no entertainment industry. I mean,
right.
the fact that we have an entertainment industry speaks to the enormous wealth that was created by capitalism to even allow for an industry where people can make fortunes, making movies and pretending to be other people. That speaks to the greatness of our country, and for them to shit on that is amazing. And the fact that, most of the big blockbuster movies that make fortunes are based on violence and guns and explosions and, the cowboys from the 60s. And so, I mean, they've made money on that and then they shit on it. It's just, they're so gross. There's so much irony and double standards and hypocrisy. And it's
so
just.
They deserved every minute of this.
Absolutely.
And I think, too, that the movies they're making lately are kind of crappy, not very innovative. Lots of remakes, lots of sequels, lots of just kind of junk. And there's less and less reason to go to the movies. I hope that that's going to change, I do like movies, and I thought maybe I was getting older because there are so many more movies that I turn off or walk out of. Like, I can't even get through the first 10, 15 minutes. But I do think the quality has degraded because I also no longer, there are just so few movies where I go, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that more than once. There's so many fewer of those. And I'll still go back and watch older movies multiple times, still to this day, that are still interesting to me. So they need to get their act together. All right. So speaking of Epstein, and I don't know how I'm going to segue this, but let's talk about the royals. Andrew had to step down from his position because he was connected to Epstein. But we've had another royal now stepping away just because, I don't know what his problem is. Why would you ever... I get that it's hard. Like, if anyone's watching The Crown, you kind of get this idea that being a member of the royal family is not easy. You don't really get to be an individual. It is really a position of duty and service. And you can't speak your mind, and you have to... You're a symbol. Your life is a symbol, and you have to just kind of fit it into this corporation, basically, that's protecting these symbols. And so you don't really have a lot of free will there. And every day you go out and you shake hands and you do charity, and you don't get to speak your mind, and I guess you get a private life, but you don't get to use your fame in a way that you might want to. But that's the price you pay, and I guess what you get for that is wealth and fame. Somebody like Meghan Markle would not be famous if it weren't for marrying Harry. And so why does she want, she wouldn't have had it without him. But now she's a mega star. I mean, you knew who she was because you were a fan of that dumb TV show, Suits.
Hey, now, easy.
But like when she first started dating Harry, and like I think she was on the cover of Vanity Fair or something, like, oh, this is the girl dating Harry. And that was out of the blue. I had never seen her before. Never. And she's just some actress on some 2-bit TV show.
So he was a fan of Suits.
Well,
he must have been a fan of it.
I have read that. So what she did was she was over in England, like purposely trying to meet him.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about this.
Yeah,
like,
and she also had like an
she claimed she
obsession
wasn't
with
interested
Princess
in
Diana when she was younger, and so there's something kind of icky and weird going on here. But
she's a stalker.
Yeah, kind of. And she wanted to marry into this family. She got her $50 million wedding, and now she wants out. And I guess because she realized, oh, they control what I say, what I do, how I look. Like, they control everything. I don't want that.
You're making a great presumption here, which is that we know what the hell's going on. Like, so what happened here?
Okay, so what? Right. Okay. Harry and Meghan issued a statement saying, and it's so funny too. They did it via Instagram, saying that they're going to step away from being senior royals. It's the funniest goddamn statement. There's so much in this statement to laugh at, actually. So I'm going to read it. It's just a short little Instagram statement. But first this comes out, and then a couple hours later, the palace releases like a 1-sentence statement. They hadn't been informed about this. So they make this statement where they're saying, "Hey, we're leaving the royal family." They hadn't even told the damn queen. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
All right. So now that you know that, the statement takes on even more like just icky, pukey, fakey, nicey corporate speak.
Yeah.
So listen to this thing. Okay. Somebody wrote this, probably her PR team. Her PR team is really failing. I'm surprised they don't lose business over this. She hired this LA PR team and whatever. Anyway, okay.
God.
After many months of reflection and internal discussions, we have chosen, which by the way, that's like not quite correct. That's not quite correct language. It sounds like somebody who's using words they're not completely sure about the meaning of, which is so corporate speak. Okay. After many months of reflection and internal discussions, we have chosen to make a transition this year in starting to carve out a progressive new role within this institution. Is that the most muddled sentence you ever heard in your life?
Yeah, what does that mean?
We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. Like she needs your damn support. Like she needs that little bone thrown to her, right?
Yeah.
It is with your encouragement, particularly over the last few years, that we feel prepared to make this adjustment. We now plan to balance our time between the United Kingdom and North America, continuing to honor our duty to the Queen, the Commonwealth, and our patronages. This geographic balance will enable us to raise our son with an appreciation for the royal tradition into which he was born, while also providing, how they're going to do that in North America, I don't know, while also providing our family with the space to focus on the next chapter, including the launch of our new charitable entity. We look forward to sharing the full details of this exciting next step in due course as we continue to collaborate with Her Majesty the Queen, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Cambridge, and all relevant parties. Until then, please accept our deepest thanks for your continued support.
I like the fact that they refer to it as North America. So they're going to be in Mexico, and they're going to go to Winnipeg, Canada.
Well, actually, they're in Canada. That's.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. And,
okay.
that's
corrected.
part of the Commonwealth. So I think they're trying to say, hey, we're still in the Commonwealth. But, she wants to be in LA, I'm sure. Right?
Of course. Well, that's North America equals LA in this.
Right. I mean, she's saying Canada she's saying Canada, but meaning America. Like it's all full of double meanings.
Like she's in Calgary, like where she's in Yukon, she's in Tijuana, like she's just going to be all over North America. Actually, she's going to be in LA.
She's going to be in Los Angeles. Yeah. And continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. I'm sure the Queen is like, fuck you. I'm basically have not told you about this. And I'm taking your grandson out of the senior royal family, but I support you.
So I want a translation.
It's such a stab in the back.
I want all the wealth and privilege of being part of this royal family thing, but I don't want any of the responsibility of it. And I want to live in Los Angeles so I can go to parties and do all that shit. And I don't really want to have to deal with all this other shit that you make us do, which is kind of lame and boring. So just give me all the money and our inheritance, and then we're going to go our own way, and fuck you, see you later. But
we support you, Queen. Thank you.
But we'll pay lip service to your whole queenie little thingy. Yeah.
Right. We'll pretend like we really sincerely love you, and as we continue to collaborate with Her Majesty the Queen, maybe you should tell her what you're about to do before you blindside her. You know what I mean? Like you're not collaborating.
Yeah.
What's collaborative about that? The funniest part of this to me is this line here. Okay, where is it here? We will work to become financially independent. You could be financially independent tomorrow. Like you don't work to be financially independent. You just do it. Like I'm financially independent. Go move into a house in a regular neighborhood with regular people and you'll be financially independent. But that's not what she means.
Get a job.
She means wealthy without the palace. That's what she means.
Yeah, of course.
So rather, and work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. What does that mean?
I think it means like they don't, if
we
they
don't
mean
want
that,
her
they're not
money.
going to, we don't want her money.
We don't want the
That's
Queen's
great.
money. We'll figure out a way to get our own money. without her. And we're excited for the next chapter. And we're going to take the space to launch our new charitable entity. So the way they're going to make this wealth is with a charitable entity. If that isn't 2020, I don't know what is. 2020 North America is getting wealthy via a charitable entity.
So she's going to start a nonprofit that she doesn't pay taxes on. She's going to raise a bunch of money and then pay herself a salary.
Yes. And then she's going to do merchandising with her fame. You know?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
People will give her jewelry and clothes and pay her money to, like a Kardashian. She'll wear this, she'll wear that, she'll put this on her Instagram and make money off of it.
Yeah, of course.
She's an influencer. Mm-hmm. She's an Instagram influencer.
Yeah, she'll have her own perfume and clothing line and all that crap. And
right. And she'll make probably more than the palace would have, than they would have gotten from the palace.
Yeah, that's probably what they want. That's probably absolutely what she wants, right? She wants to be a fashion star.
Kylie Jenner Kardashian is a billionaire.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So why should they care about the 10 million from the queen or whatever that, you know?
Yeah, that's nothing.
Like with that fame, they have the ability to make $1 billion by starting a charitable entity, which keeps them out and about in the public, doing things and being seen, while simultaneously getting paid to advertise for clothing lines, jewelry shop. Then they could start their own. She could, like you said, a perfume, a clothing
she's
line,
gonna capitalize
a makeup
on her
line.
fame.
You can make so much money doing that.
So she got famous on their brand, the royal brand, and now she's going to leverage that and capitalize on her own fame.
Yes.
But not feel any need to reciprocate by engaging in the historical duties of the royal family.
She's not even going to live in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do the Brits think about this?
Heads are exploding.
Oh,
right?
really?
Oh, yeah.
So this isn't going well?
I mean, yeah, no, that's crazy, huh? That's just crazy.
This just reeks of like modern entitlement,
doesn't it?
Like narcissism.
Yes.
It's so gross.
It's so our time. You marry into this 1,000-year-old institution. You're going to be a royal. You get a wedding in the big church with the Queen of England, and then you're like, meh, I can make $1 billion. I don't want this.
Yeah, fuck this.
I'm going to be on Insta with my merch.
Yeah.
And it's so like it just reflects the kind of meaninglessness and the valuelessness of our times, because the church, the Queen, the British tradition, the 1,000-year-old empire has value.
Yeah.
And family, and like just look at Kate and William. They've got a few kids. They've got this kind of long life ahead of them, surrounded by their good works and their family and wealth and everything else. But
there's an element of duty to that. I mean,
but what I was just going to say is, what's going to happen to this woman? Like right now, she's young and pretty and just, she's actually not that young. She's probably like 42 or 43. So I give it until, when she's 60 and divorced and she's the has-been ex-royal like Fergie, and she's begging someone to pay her to appear at a bar. That is her sad future. But she's not looking at that. She's looking at, today I'm going to be a billionaire.
By the way, I noticed that you haven't set a timer for this discussion.
Well, so the other interesting piece of this to me is when I read this statement, I thought, oh my God, puke. I mean, it reminds me of every statement put out by every corporation in America. This kind of non-meaning, overly obscure language that's also kind of like sickly complimentary but like the undertones.
You got to read between the lines.
The undertones are actually kind of nasty.
Yeah.
It's so non-direct, and it's really kind of nasty, and then its fakeness makes it kind of doubly nasty. And I don't feel like everybody sees that. I see that really clearly, and I kind of always have. I hated working in corporate America.
Yeah, it's all spin, but there's something, what strikes me about this is the way in which it represents our culture is just the vacuous, uneducated, the lack of reverence for history, for culture, for our society, for our culture, for the institutions that we base our lives around. Here she, I don't, I'm not a big lover of this royal thing, cultural or anything, but it does represent the British Empire, and the history of that is central to Western civilization, our history, the entire history of the West. And, the people there revere them, and they are a symbol of their society and their culture.
That's the thing. I mean, I think there's been a lot of discussion, do we need the royals, whatever. I think they need them more than ever, especially as they've let in, all these immigrants and everything. You have to have symbols that unite people. And so they symbolize the British Empire and the British government and how long-lasting it is, the culture of stiff upper lip and tea and the flag and... You know what I'm saying? They're the symbol of all the traditions and all the cultural things that are British. And an Indian can come and move to England and love the Queen and love what she stands for and be patriotic in that way and share that with a native, family that's been there for 1,000 years. So I think it is an important thing. I think it does cause more unity. It's not that expensive. They also, a lot of the work that they do is to protect the lands and the gardens and things of England and the little farms. Like I was watching, I'm such a royal follower. It's like really creepy.
Yeah, this is getting weird.
I was watching this documentary about the land grant given to, I just really love England and I was just there. So that's part of it. There's a land grant that's held by the Prince of Wales. So it will pass to William when Charles becomes king. And it's basically all of these small farms, small British farms. And they pay tax to him. And then he takes that tax and plows it into like general. It's almost like a townhome association or something.
Yeah, like a POA.
And then there's just a lot of, he brings prestige, and they have like one of the things that he does is they sponsor this fence building contest every year where they build the fence in the old way with the brush, with the sticks and everything. And so the young people compete to learn this craft and build these solid fences out of sticks. I mean, I know it sounds funny, but it basically maintains the British look and feel of the landscape and the countryside. That's good stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, without Prince Charles, that wouldn't be done because it would all be these separate, privately held land things. And it just, or some kind of association. But he also brings his name and prestige to the event. He shows up,
Yeah.
So people show up to meet him.
They're involved in all these charitable causes.
Yeah.
And, they're a symbol of like kind of benevolence, Western benevolence and civilization. And, this to me is like a sequel to Cinderella. how they're supposed to ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after, the princess and the prince or whatever. And then this is like, a few weeks later, she's like, fuck this. I'm going to start my own. I want to start my own brand.
Yeah, can you imagine? Cinderella's like, oh, gee, I can merch off of this.
Yeah, I can start my own pumpkin. That pumpkin thing? Was it? Wasn't there a pumpkin carrot? I'm going to create my own line of pumpkin cologne perfumes or something.
Yeah, just so fucking cheap. Just so cheap. So the lack of appreciation for what she could have been somebody important in the world. Like who provided long-term meaning to that country. And Harry, shame on him. I mean, how freaking pussy whipped do you have to be to walk away from your title and everything and your family? And oh my God, how did she do this to poor Harry?
Don't you think this gets to, like, we've talked about this so many times, this crisis of meaning, in life, in our modern society,
right.
where, and this is why Jordan Peterson is so important in popularizing the importance of morality and thinking deeply about the meaning of life and like what's your purpose and what you're trying to do and like what brings true happiness. And, she's right out of central casting, like in terms of just this vacuous, narcissistic, LA kind of moron seeking fame for fame's sake, for her own diabolical purposes, without any sense of honor or meaning or reverence or understanding of like the basis of that wealth or that system. Just an ignorant little leech who's in there out for her own glamour and self-aggrandizement. And that's such a great symbol of modern culture at its worst.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's so 2020. This whole thing is 2020. And then if you look at the photo of that they put up with that statement, it's the two of them walking. She's holding his hand, so they have their hands clasped together, and then she's moved the hand in front of her body. So she's holding his hand in front of her body, and then the other hand is holding his wrist.
Ooh.
It's the most like, I own you. Like, it's just such
shackled.
Oh my God, he's so pussy whipped. How bad do you have to be to give up all that for a woman? But it is revealing the lack of meaning, because one of the things that he said in that documentary, that African documentary, was something about like, I will always protect my family, and now I have a family to protect, or something. So, she's given him a child, and I just think that really does give people meaning, and marriage and a child gives meaning. Unfortunately, he married the wrong woman. So the lesson is just be careful who you marry. But
I don't think that's the lesson.
but when men do,
but
it
okay.
really does. It does mature you, and it does provide meaning in your life. And he's sort of taking it and running with it. Like, whatever you want to do, hun, I'm on your side. The fact that they put out this statement before telling the Queen what they were doing, it's unbelievable.
But just then they double down, because they're like lefty progressive SJW types too.
Oh yeah.
So then they're not only going to shit on that tradition,
starting to carve out a progressive new role within this institution. That just makes me want to puke. And that gets to the pretentious language as well. That whole corporate speak that I was talking about, the fakeness. And just to bring Jordan Peterson in as an aside, one of his 12 rules is tell the truth. And like that to him is almost step one when you're trying to get your life back together. Just start telling the truth. And to me, this is not telling the truth. This statement is just full of BS. And that reminded me of when I was over in England in April, I picked up this pamphlet written by George Orwell. Called Politics in the English Language. It's short. Everybody should read this because it's just interesting. But it starts out with this, like, he's bemoaning the decline of the English language and saying that it doesn't have to be this way. Like, this is, we can choose to not have it decline like this. And I'm thinking that he's talking about kind of an idiocracy where slang is becoming more prevalent, where language is getting more casual. But no, he's talking about the opposite. He's talking about pretentious intellectual language. So I'm just going to read one sentence out of his pamphlet that he in the first couple paragraphs, he does 5 examples. Here's the shortest one. And this is written by a professor in some book somewhere. And he said, and this is it. Above all, we cannot play ducks and drakes with a native battery of idioms which prescribes egregious collocations of vocables as the basic put up with for tolerate or put at a loss for bewilder. And like that's just like the most meaningless. And he has like a whole bunch of examples of these things. You know, this was like a letter in the Tribune, and it's kind of similar to that. It means nothing, just this meaningless, pretentious language
Incoherent.
where you need a dictionary.
Well, that's the language of modern academics.
Yes.
I mean, this was sent up by those guys that published those fake peer-reviewed articles where it was all just buzzwords and academic speak, meaning absolutely nothing.
Meaning absolutely nothing. And to me, this just reminded me of that statement and just what comes out of Silicon Valley when they make these statements, like when something bad happens and they go, we're reviewing our code and we're, you know, like it's these sort of non-statement, meaningless statements that they make to address a scandal.
Yeah.
And they make no actual...
They've issued a statement.
Right.
And it's totally meaningless.
It's totally meaningless.
I love there's a line in the Fountainhead where they're having one of those intellectual salons, you know, with all those like hack second-rate intellectuals and artists. And I forgot the name of the woman who was the author that spoke in like one word, drip, drip, drop, drop, crap, crap, you know.
Right.
And one of the characters said, well, it must be
Lois?
I don't Lois something. I don't understand it, so it must be profound.
Exactly.
That's exactly captured the essence of that entire crowd.
Yeah. And even idiots like Meghan, you know, she just cannot be direct. She can't make a direct statement, and she's just not an honest individual. If she were honest, they would have talked to the Queen and said, "We want out," and they would have done it with dignity. Yeah. And instead, they did it with lies and without any communication with the Queen herself, who's going to freaking die. This is so stressful. I mean, she's 93. She does not need this. If she dies, I blame her. I will blame Meghan.
You've got the Queen's back. You're all about the.
I'm so mad about this. I do love the Queen. She's awesome. And when she goes, we're going to get Charles. And he's terrible. He is such a sniveling, pretentious beast. And he's a fanatic about environmentalism.
Yeah.
Which for some reason, even though the royal family has this rule, no politics, they've decided environmentalism is okay.
Well, yeah, because they don't consider that political.
They don't consider it political.
It's just a truth.
Right. Right.
Which is how the left works. You know, like that's why they don't see themselves as biased as journalists, because in their mind, they're just telling the truth.
Right.
It's not bias. Liberalism and, you know, our leftist mores, this is just truth and goodness.
Right.
How can you question it?
Right. So yeah, that's the royal news. That's
nice.
It. And I think we've covered everything else. Covered
Yeah,
Ricky. We covered Iran in 5 minutes. Yeah. That might be it for the program, everybody. It's my birthday today.
Oh, yeah. I saw. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
You doing anything special?
Not today. This weekend, I'm going to have some people over and have cake. And
awesome.
Today, nothing.
Excited?
Today, I'm doing my podcast. Happy birthday.
Wow.
I'm not excited. It's sort of a sad deal. Like when you're sick, you just feel old.
Yeah.
I feel like I live the life of an old person. I do live the life of an old person. I was telling my mom this yesterday, who's 30 years older than me, who goes for a 4-mile walk every day and mows her big ass lawn, like, you know, by herself, and shovels her huge, ginormous driveway piled high with 2 feet of snow every 2 weeks, you know. Mm-hmm. She's super healthy. And she's in her mid to late 70s.
Wow.
And she's in better, like her life is more full than my life.
Yeah.
In that sense, in the sense of being able to physically do more. And she says, what are you talking about? You went to England, you went to France. Like just on Sunday, I was at a gymnastics meet for my niece. And I said, yeah, but when I do that stuff, I have to be like cared for, like an old lady. Like when your 90-year-old grandma goes to the gymnastics meet, you get her water, you get her a special chair, like everybody's sort of
gotta wheel
attending
her
to her.
around.
Yeah, because she can't actually handle it, you know?
Bring grandma some water.
Yes.
Bring
And that's
grandma.
me. Like I can't go to that stuff without, somebody there kind of helping me. And when I went to England, so I went to France for a wedding, and my Lucia's dad was with me and everything, and he takes good care of me. And then he had to come back home, and I went on to England with my daughter and our au pair. And I can't do London. Like I can't physically do that. Mm-hmm. So we got picked, and I also thankfully had a little bit of money I could kind of pay for people to help me out. So we got picked up at the airport by a driver who drove us to Windsor, which is, not the city. It's a small little walking town that's doable. So he takes us out there, helps us with the helps me check in, get my family into this hotel where
you can hire guys like this.
Where I just stayed for 5 days. We didn't go anywhere. Because I can't.
You can hire these guys in London that'll drive you around and show you all the sites.
Right. And that's what this guy was, but I hired him to get me out into a small town that I could handle.
Oh, okay.
So I basically have the vacation of a 90-year-old.
Wow, that's pretty sad. Yeah.
And I'm not that old, but I feel so my birthdays are a little bit hard because I know if I could just feel better, I wouldn't care because I'm not that old. But it's hard when you feel it's been a few years. So I think it's just, I start to feel like, is this what old age feels like? But I just don't remember what it's like to be healthy. So I feel my age more is what I'm trying to say, but I don't think it's really my age. It's just the state of the situation.
Yeah.
Which
sounds horrible.
Isn't so bad right now. So thanks. Yeah. Boo hoo. Poor me on my birthday. I feel like
you got a cake? You got a cake?
I did get a cake. It has sprinkles in it. I mostly got it because, my daughter will really enjoy it. It's funny. I bought a birthday cake that my daughter would enjoy. It's got sprinkles in the cake.
In the cake.
And she has planned to decorate it with Swedish fish, which are my favorite candy. So she's going to cover the outside with Swedish fish.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. That's it. And then I'm going to have some people over for dinner on Saturday. It'll be fun. That's it.
Well, enjoy your birthday.
Thank you. And that's it for the show today. What else?
Don't think about death.
Yeah,
about the inevitable.
Maybe
about how you're racing towards the inevitable.
I know, right? The days really get shorter as you get older.
I've got a milestone birthday coming up in a couple weeks.
I know what that one is.
So let's not.
When
I'm
is
not
your birthday?
Thinking about it. It's towards the end of January.
All right. So we're both January kids.
Yeah. So
we both had the skating birthday party or the sledding birthday party versus the fun summer birthday party.
Oh, my birthdays are just a series of disasters because like my 21st birthday was a blizzard.
Yes,
it's always
exactly.
shit. It's always the shit.
It's always
and it's right after
cold,
the holidays.
Dark.
Everyone's finally just gotten back into the post-holiday hangover.
People are
and everyone's
tired.
Getting back into the year. They're tired, and it's like, and the weather's getting bad, so people are like settling in for that. And it's like, hey, it's my birthday. Yeah,
nobody cares.
I got like one or two people to go with me on my 21st birthday.
Here's your rinky-dink last-minute purchased present because I realized I had to buy you a present, and I'm so burnt out on buying presents that here's yours.
They're just getting their credit card bill for Christmas. And they're like, hey, yeah, let me spend a lot of, so I get nothing.
Yeah. Always nothing. Little shitty presents, last minute thoughts, because people are just exhausted. And And yeah, it's it could be worse. You could have a birthday on Christmas. I think that would be the only worse birthday.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the January birthday is a close second because everybody's
Unless you're
just
Jesus.
sick of it.
Unless you're Jesus, then you're good. But
then the whole day is about you. Yeah,
that's right. The whole world celebrates you. But no, I mean, yeah, January birthday, you don't want that. So
shout out to all the January birthdays out there.
Yeah,
we share your pain. All right, see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded. And because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.